Once upon a time, in a quiet little town surrounded by green hills and tall trees, there lived a cheerful boy named Sammy and his best friend, a fluffy white dog named Witty. Sammy had bright, curious eyes and a big, friendly smile that made everyone feel happy. Witty had the softest fur, floppy ears, and a tail that wagged with excitement whenever he saw Sammy. Sammy and Witty did everything together. They played in the garden, went for long walks, and shared their favorite snacks. But what they loved most of all was going on adventures. Every day was a new chance to discover something wonderful. One sunny morning, Sammy woke up to the sound of birds singing outside his window. He stretched and yawned, then looked down to see Witty already awake and waiting at the foot of his bed. Witty's tail was wagging so fast that it made Sammy giggle. "Good morning, Witty," Sammy said, rubbing his eyes. "Are you ready for a new adventure?" Witty barked softly and licked Sammy's hand. Sammy smiled and gave Witty a gentle pat on the head. After breakfast, Sammy packed his small backpack with a water bottle, some apple slices, a notebook, and his favorite colored pencils. Witty grabbed his squeaky ball, and together they set off to explore the world outside. The air was fresh and warm as they walked down the path that led from their house to the edge of the woods. Sammy loved the woods. They were full of tall trees, soft moss, and wildflowers of every color. Birds chirped in the branches, and butterflies danced in the sunlight. As they wandered deeper into the woods, Sammy noticed a narrow trail he had never seen before. The trail was lined with ferns and tiny blue flowers. Sammy's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Let's see where this path goes, Witty," Sammy said, and Witty wagged his tail in agreement. They followed the winding trail, stepping over roots and ducking under low branches. The woods became quieter and cooler as they walked, and the sunlight peeked through the leaves in golden patches. After a while, they came to a small clearing with a sparkling pond in the center. The pond was so clear that Sammy could see tiny fish swimming near the bottom. Dragonflies zipped over the water, and a family of ducks paddled by, quacking softly. Sammy and Witty sat on a smooth rock by the pond and watched the ducks for a while. Sammy took out his notebook and colored pencils and began to draw the pond, the ducks, and the tall trees around them. Witty lay beside him, resting his head on Sammy's knee and watching the dragonflies. After a while, Sammy heard a gentle rustling in the bushes nearby. Out popped a small, brown hedgehog, looking a little lost and worried. "Hello there," Sammy said kindly. "Are you okay?" The hedgehog nodded shyly. "I'm Holly. I wandered away from my home and now I can't find my way back." Sammy smiled. "Don't worry, Holly. We can help you. Witty is very good at finding things, and I have a map in my backpack." Holly's face brightened. "Thank you, Sammy and Witty." Sammy took out his map and showed it to Holly. Together, they figured out which way to go. Witty sniffed the air and led the way along the path, his nose twitching as he searched for familiar scents. As they walked, they talked and laughed. Holly told them about her favorite foods, juicy berries and crunchy leaves, and Sammy told her about the time he and Witty built a fort out of sticks and leaves. Witty barked happily, enjoying the company of his new friend. They came to a big old oak tree with a hollow at the base. Holly squeaked with delight. "That's my home. Thank you so much for helping me." Holly's family came out to greet her, and they invited Sammy and Witty to stay for a snack. They shared sweet berries and cool water from a tiny stream. Holly's mother thanked Sammy and Witty for their kindness, and Holly gave each of them a shiny acorn as a special gift. After saying goodbye, Sammy and Witty continued their adventure. They walked through a field of tall grass, chasing butterflies and picking wildflowers. Sammy made a daisy chain and put it around Witty's neck, and Witty looked very proud. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Sammy and Witty found a shady spot under a willow tree. They sat down to rest and shared their apple slices. Sammy took out his notebook and drew a picture of Holly and her family, adding the shiny acorns as a special memory. Suddenly, Witty's ears perked up. He heard a faint meowing sound. Sammy listened too, and soon they both heard it. A tiny kitten was stuck in a bush nearby, crying for help. Sammy and Witty hurried over. Sammy gently reached into the bush and scooped up the frightened kitten. Witty licked the kitten's head, and the kitten purred softly. "Let's take you home," Sammy said. He remembered seeing a poster in town about a missing kitten named Muffin. The kitten's collar had a tag that said Muffin, so Sammy knew just what to do. Sammy and Witty walked back toward town, carrying Muffin carefully. When they reached the bakery, Muffin's owner, Mrs. Baker, rushed out to greet them. "Oh, thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Witty. I was so worried about Muffin," Mrs. Baker said, hugging the kitten close. She gave Sammy and Witty a warm loaf of bread and a bag of sweet buns as a thank you. Sammy and Witty shared the buns as they walked home, feeling happy and proud. As the sun began to set, Sammy and Witty sat on the porch, watching the sky turn pink and orange. Sammy opened his notebook and drew a picture of Muffin and Mrs. Baker, adding the warm loaf of bread as a memory. That night, Sammy snuggled into bed with Witty curled up beside him. He thought about all the wonderful things that had happened that day, helping Holly, finding Muffin, and making new friends. "Good night, Witty," Sammy whispered. "I'm so glad I have you by my side." Witty wagged his tail and gave a soft, sleepy sigh. Sammy knew that every day could be an adventure, and that kindness and friendship made every adventure special. As he drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of new places to explore and new friends to help, always with Witty by his side. Good night, little dreamers. May your dreams be filled with kindness, friendship, and magical adventures, just like Sammy and Witty's. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to Fuzzy Fable Factory for more gentle bedtime adventures. Sweet dreams, and see you next time.